This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen to discuss game week 2 in the Premier League, both off a positive week. Chris, you're coming to us a bit some travel here. You're in Minnesota. What's going on?
Yes,
It's
sir.
what is it? Local time for you? It's
No,
9:30, but in your actual home, I guess it's kind of normal for you, 7:30ish. So not too
yeah,
bad, I guess.
yeah, 9:30 out here. Yeah, would typically be 7:30. So, got a good night of rest last night. Feeling pretty rejuvenated. Had a good week of a decent week of bets last week. So kind of enthused about that overall. Um, yeah, big week. We're here to week two. It just feels like we're back to the grindstone. We had the excitement of week one last week, and now it's we're just pile driving bets in. We're season long formats for fantasy. We've made our pickups for the week. Maybe took a couple points in FPL. I know I did.
Couple
But yeah,
points.
we're back, and it's back to the grindstone here. We're making four more bets apiece. Going to preview a couple games. Going to hopefully get a couple more bets right. All looks good.
Hopefully. As you
What's
mentioned,
going on with you?
yeah, nothing much. Just did a little half camping last couple days, so got out in nature, kind of refreshed the mind a little bit. It's only been 1 week, but that first week of the season just comes fast, and there's just a ton of stuff to do. So, got out in nature, reconnected with myself, and
Oh,
I'm ready for game week 2 here.
you've
Yeah,
reached your chi. Your yin and your
yeah.
yang has been met
Yeah,
now. You're
I'm
back in
getting
it.
there. The yin
I
and
love
yang are yeah,
it.
one in each other here. But yeah,
Yeah.
the Burnley Luton Town match was postponed a while ago, I guess, about a month ago, because Luton Town don't have their stadium up and ready. I'm not sure if their actual next game is actually going to be going on, but so that's why there's only 9 matches this game week. If you don't know that yet, if you're still setting your FPL squad and you're captaining, I don't know, Josh Brownhill or Connor Roberts for some reason because you think they play Luton Town, don't do that. That game was postponed. They are not playing this weekend. They get a nice break here. The two promoted sides right after opening the season, both with fairly bad losses. But we got 3 games on the docket, and as usual, team parlay. Chris was 3-1 overall last week. I was 2-2. That's including the parlay. Chris almost had a 4-0 opening weekend, and then the I think he took Manchester United -1.5 against Wolverhampton, I believe.
I
They
did,
just could
yeah.
not get it done. And I guess that maybe wasn't even that close because I don't know if you saw the match. Andre Onana took out, I forgot who it was for Wolverhampton. Maybe should have been a PK, wasn't called. Turned out to be Fergie time again in favor of Manchester United, but they got the win. Chris did not get his bet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just missed that. I mean, that should have been a penalty. I think most
Yeah.
of us thought that should have been a penalty. And then, what is it, PGMOL? The guy got stood down after his VAR decision this week, so maybe he's taking a little break. I'm not quite sure how that works, but either
Yeah, I
way, yeah,
actually
they
believe
they kind of got away with one.
the team that ref the Manchester United Wolverhampton game, they did not get assigned a game for this weekend. So that's kind of funny and kind
They're
of
gonna
kind of
think about
telling,
their
I guess.
actions this week. Yeah,
Yeah. As
take
you
a
can
little
see on the
timeout for an
screen,
adult.
a little timeout. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, look at this. We got futures odds up. We got some of those things fixed. So Manchester City -150 to win, but we're talking about games here. You can compare odds at 4 different places on our site here. DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet. We're going to be talking about Manchester United again. Easy transition here. Manchester United against Tottenham. Tottenham are home in this matchup, but they are an underdog here. What do we got? The latest odds here. Tottenham +185 to win. Manchester United +135 to win. Draw is +280. And then we're looking at over 2.5 goals is -175. That's a pretty high number. Over 3.5 goals is +140. And then under 2.5 goals is +140. So implied goal total, I don't know, about 3 or so here. So we're getting some high odds. We have, I guess, Lisandro Martinez went off at halftime in the last match. Some of that maybe because he wasn't playing very well, but apparently he got injured. We'll see if he's back. Either way, they got Lindelof, who everyone knows he was pretty solid last season for him. Tottenham, no more Harry Kane. I'm not sure we actually talk about Tottenham. I don't know if we talked about Tottenham.
We didn't really talk about them
Okay,
last week or
being
in the
transferred.
future.
Okay.
We kind of very sparsely touched on them in the future spot, but not much. So
Yeah.
there's room for them to be chatted about.
Yeah, otherwise with Tottenham, injury-wise, looking at this list, a lot of, backups here, but Romero scored their opening goal against Brentford last match. It was a blast from James Madison, and, he kind of wobbled a little bit. So I'm not sure if he was actually labeled as having a concussion, but definitely went off in that last match right after scoring a goal. So he's the main question, but they have – I don't know if I want to say fairly deep back line, but they have experienced guys. Davidson Sanchez came on for him against Brentford. So what are your initial thoughts here? We got the second match. We got the home opener for Postecoglou here as manager. And then Manchester United didn't really look too hot in their opener. Still got the win, which is kind of how Erik ten Hag has been playing with Manchester United. So what do we think here? The home opener for Tottenham under a new manager, is that enough of a boost here to get a win?
I think they could, but they're still kind of dealing with the fact that their centerpiece goal scorer is not there, and they got a couple. Who was it that scored for them last weekend? Outside back Emerson maybe scored for them, which is not something that
Yeah.
you really expect, but they're going to have goals be chipped in from all positions now that they've lost their talisman. I'm interested to see if Richarlison can start to find the back of the net. He's going to need to if they're going to have any sort of success. Kulusevski has kind of fallen off a little bit from that first season where he came in and was like super dangerous, and last season was maybe not as impressive as his start was. So we'd love to see him start to come in and knock some goals in too. But I think for this match, and you talked about the over-unders here, some pretty high goals expected. And you look back historically, last year they played 2-2. That was at the same fixture at home for Tottenham. It was 2-0 away at Old Trafford for Tottenham. For Manchester United won that. And then it was 3-2, 3-0, 3-1, 6-1. So there's been a ton of goals in these matchups over the past couple of years. I believe that it's been pretty tough for Tottenham to find. They haven't won since 2020. That was April. That was that 6-1 beatdown at Old Trafford. So Manchester United's really had the better of them in the past year. So that being said, I'm gonna kind of go. This is not necessarily taking a Manchester United money line bet, but I do like Manchester United over 1.5 goals. It's minus 115, so they get 2 goals there, and you're in the money. I'm just looking like I said about their previous score lines here. There has been quite a few goals, and United scored over 2 goals or over 1.5 goals in each of the past 5 matchups. So that being said, I just like this bet, and hopefully we see a shootout here as we have in the past. But I don't know. What do you think, Adam? Looks like you're on mute there, Adam.
Yes, I was muted. Game
Happens
week
to the best
2,
of us.
my mind is refreshed, but I don't know. Still working out some kinks, I guess. I kind of feel the same way in terms of that. You look at the way Tottenham played in their opener, and it was a bit more exciting, I'd say, than maybe not exciting, because I guess they were kind of exciting last season. They were just, terrible defensively and allowed a ton of easy goals. But in terms of your bet here, yeah, I instead of taking something like a Manchester United money line, I do like this a little more. Manchester United over 1.5 goals. I think it makes so in case Tottenham get the 3-2 win or it's a 2-2 draw or something like that, you still hit this bet and you don't have to worry about maybe Tottenham scoring 2 goals in the final 10 minutes or something like that of stoppage time kind of a thing. So I do like that because I was looking at last season and how Manchester United finished. I mean, we know what happened at Liverpool, but they still had a negative 11 goal differential away from home, which just isn't very good for a team that finished third in the table. And then you look at Tottenham, who were actually pretty good at home, 12 wins out of 19 matches at home last season. And then you throw in this being their home opener with the new manager, so maybe that adds a little juice for them here. So I think, I mean, you take what Tottenham did last week and really outplayed Brentford in a pretty tough spot. Everyone knows at Brentford is harder than we used to think it was. And they played, probably should have got a winner at some point in the final 20, 30 minutes of that one. But I'm going over 10.5 corners. There's a lot of different bets to look at for this one. And we didn't really mention the corner numbers on the last show, but the odds are just going to be, I think this is my only corner bet of the show because there just aren't a ton of good odds that I want to look at, because with the added stoppage time where we're seeing, at the end of the game, we're seeing, 10, 11 minutes stoppage time. Before halftime, we're seeing 5, 6, 7 minutes of stoppage time. So in terms of that, from what I'm seeing, all the odds are just getting boosted up. So all these first half corner bets, like you're seeing over for 4.5 corners in the first half, that's like minus 150. And then it makes it even more difficult to take under 4.5 corners because there is, those 3, 4, 5 more minutes added into the first half. So that was my bread and butter last season. Unfortunately, I don't know how many times I can take it this season, just because you're going to get these late corners with these added minutes. So kind of unfortunate for me. I'll try and find a new bread and butter this season. I got 10.5 corners. I just think that we saw what Tottenham did and how Manchester United, that game was surprisingly back and forth against Wolverhampton. I think Wolverhampton maybe had 6 or 7 corners in that one. I think this one will be pretty exciting. That's kind of what you're betting on. So I think it's going to be up and down. That's kind of how Postecoglou wants to play here with Tottenham. So I think there's going to be corners, 10.5 corners. That's minus 115, and over 10.5 corners. Chris is over 1.5 goals, minus 115. So we're kind of in the agreement here. Both kind of think it's going to be, hopefully it's up and down here. But I guess that's what we're both going with.
I think that's what we're both on for a pretty exciting match here, just to follow up some of the previous results. But yeah, I looked it up. Me and United Wolves had 7 and 8 corners for a total of 15, and then Tottenham Brentford was 6 and 3, so 9 corners in that matchup.
Yeah, that Tottenham Brentford one was kind of weird, but Brentford playing with the 3-5-2, 5-3-2 formation, so a little different build up there. The one thing I guess I'm worried about is that Manchester United, they do like to play in lower scoring matches away from home, where Erik ten Hag, it just feels like a manager who's always battling relegation almost seemingly, because they always are in these 0-0, 1-0 score lines type. And that's the one thing I'm worried about, but I'm not sure that that's actually going to happen here against Tottenham, just based off what we know from their manager and based off what we've seen from one match. But that's what we got for Tottenham.